Another major concern of yours is underage drinking.
Yes.
What are the major consequences for individuals, high school age, let's say, who make the decision to drink?
Well, I've been going around the state, and I've been talking to different high school groups about underage drinking. First of all, underage drinking is a terrific problem here in the state of Maine, as it is across this nation. Alcohol is the major drug problem among youth. There's nothing even close to it. And when you talk about consequences, it's a leading contributor to the 3 leading causes of death among young people, and that's accidental injury, suicide, and homicide. We also see alcohol use causes a lot of other problems, sexual assaults, physical assaults. It's usually there when you see those things happen with young people, particularly sexual assaults. One of the things I think a lot of people don't think about, kids say, well, I'll drink and I'll be okay as long as I don't drive or I don't get in a fight. That's not okay, because the adolescent brain is still developing, and if you pour alcohol into your body, your blood takes it right to the brain. It's a central nervous system depressant. It depresses the brain, and it can actually have a very negative impact. Remember I talked about the electricians connecting the wires? That's still going on during the high school years, and other things are happening, and alcohol can interfere with that, and it can actually cause irreversible brain damage, particularly if you engage in binge drinking. This is when young people go out and they're drinking 5 or more beers on Friday or Saturday night. That can have permanent damage, structural damage to the brain. So it's not good enough just to say, I'm going to drink, but I'm not going to drive, or I'm going to drink and I'm not going to get in a fight. You could still be causing permanent damage to your brain. And I know young people, you want to get a good education, you want to have a good job, a nice home, a good family. You know, you may be taking that away from yourself if you continue to engage in drinking. So it's a real problem. And again, there's a reason the age is 21 to drink. It's because of the adolescent brain. And I just want to say one other thing. I know I don't want to be corny here, but when I show the brain, this part of the brain is the frontal lobe, and that's the part that really deals with judgment and decision making. And young people are usually willing to engage in riskier behavior than more mature people anyway. But when you put alcohol into your system, it just makes that it heightens that risk taking, okay, and it affects your judgment, and so you're probably going to make really bad decisions. The one thing I do tell young people is most young people don't drink. They don't. In our high schools right now, among 12th graders, seniors, about 49% are drinking alcohol at least once a month. About 30% are engaging in binge drinking once every 2 weeks. That means 51% of our seniors are not drinking. And when you go down into the 11th grade, 10th, it's much higher. So most young people do not drink, and that's good. And I think we need to hold those people up who don't.
Compared to other states, how significant is this problem in Maine?
I don't know that we're a lot worse than any other state. In fact, I'm not sure we are. We're certainly there. Our numbers are higher than some, but not as high as others. It's pretty much across the country. 2 things we really need to work on, I just want to mention. One is to reduce youth interest in alcohol, and the other is to reduce youth access to alcohol. And I'll tell you right now, we're battling the alcohol companies with their marketing and their advertising, because in my opinion, they seem to be, a lot of these really appeal to young people. And we're sending a message sort of that this is a rite of passage, right? That in high school, it's a rite of passage. It's sort of expected. It's not. I believe the way that we're really going to end underage drinking is to change the culture that promotes and supports underage drinking. And parents have a responsibility, young people have a responsibility, educators do, law enforcement officers, those who sell alcohol, the community. It's a community problem and it requires a community solution, so we really all have to work together.
There's currently a collaborative program called DARE, which is the Drug Abuse Resistance Education, in which local law enforcement and local schools join together to educate students about personal and social consequences to substance abuse and violence. According to York County Sheriff Maurice Willett, there's currently no funds allocated to have officers go into the schools to carry out this type of drug prevention program. First, have you heard of the program? And second, why isn't it in the schools?
Well, yes, I've heard of the program, and you probably have too. You may remember a lot of it is in some schools. I'm not familiar with the funding issue with respect to DARE. I know in general we have cut back in terms of substance abuse prevention in some areas. I think it's a mistake. We really have to keep hammering this home. And obviously with young people there are different things that work. Maybe the DARE program works with some young people. There may be other programs that work with others. So I know Sheriff Willett, I know, is a big advocate in preventing underage drinking, and as am I, as are most law enforcement officers and prosecutors. But there are different things that work. One of the things I'm learning is you really can't scare kids, and we tried this. You know, we'll show them automobile crashes or talk about it, and I hear stories, and for that moment that it affects that young person. But then some of these young people go out and they engage in drinking that very night. So we're looking for new ways, and one of the things I want young people to remember is the brain. Even if you don't get hurt in a traumatic accident, you can be causing damage to your brain and limiting, you know, your attainment of those goals that you have later in your life. So I just want to really make sure that the young people who are watching this show understand that you wait until you're 21 to drink. It's a legal product if you're of legal age, and drink in moderation. But there's reasons it's not a good idea for a young person to drink alcohol. It causes nothing but problems.
Okay. Let me turn to two more issues that were in the local edition of the Courier. Quote, on the state level, Rowe opposes a proposal to suspend all criminal trials for 6 weeks this spring in response to Maine's $225 million budget deficit. And you say, quote, it is important for defendants to have a right to a speedy trial, and I hope the delay does not occur, Rowe says. Okay, so number one, why was this proposed by the legislator if it's by some, it's deemed unconstitutional?
Well, I think they were just, I'm not sure who proposed this, but it was something that was put up as a way to save some money. And I know Chief Justice Lee Softly, our Chief Justice of our Maine Supreme Judicial Court, had opposed that and said that that's not the thing to do because there is a constitutional issue with the right to a speedy trial.
Right.
But we were looking for ways, I know, really to trim our budget, to find ways to you know, tighten our fiscal belt, if you will, in Augusta. And this was one of the ideas put out there. But it would have been problematic, and I think it would have brought a lot of lawsuits on behalf of criminal defendants alleging that it violated their right to a speedy trial.
Okay, let's turn to one more issue. Quote, about 85% of harmful pollutants found in Maine's air are from away. Okay, now no state law we enact is going to make up those pollutants go away. It is up to my office to protect the people of Maine, and if they are being harmed by any lack of action on the part of the federal government, it's my duty to make a legal challenge, and that's a quote from yourself. You filed a lawsuit against the federal government on this issue. Can you explain your reason why?
Well, we filed a number where we joined other states, and we led some, and we joined other states on others to file a suit against our National Environmental Protection Agency. Do you remember back Maslow's hierarchy of needs when you were studying, and you remember at the bottom, you have to have clean air to breathe.
Right.
If you can't breathe, then you don't care about food, right? You don't care about water.
Right.
And then you need water, and then you need food, and it goes up and up, warmth, you know, and you don't care what's on the movie tonight if you can't breathe or you don't have water. Clean air is essential for life. It's just essential, and we have to make sure it's there. Clean water is essential, and that's why, you know, the Federal Clean Air Act and the Federal Clean Water Act are acts that protect our health of all citizens of this country. The Clean Air Act is something that has to be done by the federal government because the air blows across states. We can't put up a wall and stop the air that comes into Maine, and the prevailing winds blow from west to east, and so we're at what we call at the end of our nation's tailpipe. You know, Maine's geographic position vis-a-vis the other 47 continental states. And so in the Ohio Valley and in the west and southwest, you have these huge coal-fired generating plants that billow up this smoke, and in this smoke is carbon dioxide and nitrogen oxide and particulate matter, and it blows over and it lands here, a lot of it. As I said, 85% of the harmful pollutants that fall from the sky in Maine are from away. We can't enforce the Clean Air Act. Only the Environmental Protection Agency can against those polluters. And so when the agency doesn't do its job, we say, would you please do your job? And when they don't do anything, then we go to our members of Congress, we say, would you make them do it? And when they still don't do it, that's when we usually launch a lawsuit. And we go to federal court. And we've won on a number of lawsuits requiring the Federal Environmental Protection Agency to actually more aggressively enforce the laws with respect to those big polluting, you know, coal-fired generating plants. We've also sued those plants on our own a number of times, but we've been very successful, and I'm very proud of the work that we have done. You know, I take no pride in having to sue our federal government, but it's to protect the health and welfare of Maine citizens, who are also citizens of the United States. So yes, we have, and we'll do it again if the EPA doesn't do their job.
There are so many more issues to talk about, but that ends our show for today. So thank you so
Oh,
much
well, thank you
coming
for
on the
having me.
program.
Thank you very much, Justin.
And thank you for watching as well. I'm Justin Chenette. Remember to become aware with issues of the day and get involved in your community. This has been The Issue. See you next time.